I'm John from the Sheeran Real Estate Group, the broker of the company.
And I'm Genevieve Sheeran, and I'm on the marketing team here. And we're excited to get back into doing some podcasts. Bear with us because we're hot and we're sweaty. There's no AC here right now. And, we're trying to ease our way back into doing this and, getting more comfortable and, coming up with some good content to share with everybody. But we're going to start off. We're going to, have our little banter, our conversations, and see where it takes us.
Yes.
But we said one of the things that we would talk about today is how we both got into real estate. Obviously we work with our mom, so that kind of goes without saying that mom dragged us into the business and, we haven't been able to leave yet. But what do you think guided you towards real estate, and what, talents and skills that you had translate well to what you're doing now?
So obviously, like my sister said, we've been around the business for our entire lives. We've just grew up with real estate. My mom's selling a lot of homes in Denville and the surrounding area. And I used to joke too that even when I went to college, I'd come home and during college, come home on the weekends, which is when it's the realtor's busiest time. And for a while, I was like, I see my mom's face more on the signs than I do in person, which isn't true, but I used to joke about it. But really, just like any other college kid, just really didn't know what I wanted to do after college. I went to Rutgers, which was local. Got local-ish, got my degree in economics, and after college, had a tough time getting a job like most kids out of college, and went to get my real estate license. So during the time of getting my real estate license, I actually did get a job opportunity at E-Trade, which I did for 3 years as being a financial consultant, which is your typical finance boiler room. I remember the first 6 months there, all my boss wanted me to do was to pick up the phone, make 100 calls a day, because at the time I was terrible on the phone. And the phone calls that he made me make were the worst. He made me make happy birthday phone calls to people that had way more money than I had ever seen before. So that really got me uncomfortable, but to the point of being comfortable over time of just making those phone calls. So after graduating from that, I really got into actually managing people's money and watching the markets with them. But as a 24-year-old at the time, which was kind of crazy to think about, helping people manage a lot of money, I decided that I didn't want to work in the city anymore. So I called my mom back and just said like, hey, I want to come back and join the family business.
Yeah. So you already had your real estate license. I kind of even forget the timeline, because when I think about when we first started or when we first officially got our license, that's 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy. I still feel like we're pretty young for this business, but we have been in real estate for 10 years. So the timeline is kind of insane to me, but you already had your license and then you went into finance.
I had my license, so I kept it active during my 3.5 years in finance. Didn't really do any selling during that time while I was working at E-Trade, but kept my license afterwards, and then selfishly tried to get my 2-week leave during I remember the 2018 World Cup. And just so I could watch a little bit of soccer during that time. And right after that, full go into real estate since then.
Never looked back.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like so much of your time at E-Trade has helped with your clients and, kind of guiding with investments and, the best ways to make offers and tax breaks and all that kind of thing. It really translated over pretty well.
Definitely. So I just even going to school for economics, being that's what my major is. I always loved following markets. I did this, just traded really obviously small money when I was at the later years in high school as well, just for fun, just play money. And now I just get to watch the housing market. So I do love to talk to people about what's going on in the markets, helping them make the best decisions on, is this house, I know it's the lender's job too, but I do get involved just with my financial background.
Yeah,
Does this house make sense to buy? And even in this market environment right now, it's really intriguing because so many people have those low interest rates. So now the people that I helped buy houses in 2018, 2019, 2020, they've had a couple kids, they're looking to upsize now. They have these low interest rates on their mortgages, and now they're buying into something with a higher interest rate, and they're trying to decide, do I want to sell this house or do I want to keep this
Or
as a
do we
rental
rent it?
property?
Yep,
So
yep.
it really is fun to help investors or even just the average Joes out there, help them become investors in the real estate market.
Yeah, and I feel like so many more people have become real estate investors because of the low interest rates. So many people that never planned or expected to become landlords have, because it just it just makes sense financially.
It
If you
may
have a 2.9% and then you're able to get, the rental rates that you can in this day and age, it does make a ton of sense.
It's very true, and everybody has to have the stomach to be a landlord out there
Mhm.
because, of course, that comes with responsibility. You have to
Yeah,
have somebody on call or be able to call us so that we can help you
right.
find a contractor, a
Right.
plumber, an HVAC specialist,
Yep,
anything
yep.
in case something breaks down.
Yeah.
So you have to have a stomach for being a landlord. But if you have one of those 2.5 to 3%, even 3.5%
Mhm.
rates, it makes a lot of sense to do it because a lot of times right now we're seeing our landlords even netting close to $800 a month, $1,000 a month,
Yeah.
which of course you can sell and make a lot of equity out of that
Yep.
house and get one lump sum. But if you're making $1,000 a month off a rental, you could throw that at your new mortgage, which is extremely
Yeah, and
helpful
I
as well.
feel like it's interesting because I feel like we do have several clients that did try, like you keep saying that you have to have the stomach for it, and a lot of people do, some people don't. Or if they move out of town, like it's hard to manage something when you're a couple hours away. But I do feel like we have a lot of clients that rented their home for a couple of years and now their tenants are moving out and the market is still just like really up, where
hmm
like now they are deciding to sell it.
Well, we're running into and again it's just back to my finance days. I was trained to say this on the phone in finance.
Mhm.
I am not a tax specialist, and I'm still not a tax specialist. But what we're running into a lot right now is people that tried that maybe we helped them buy a house in 2017, 2018,
Right.
2019, and then they upsized in 2022, 2023,
Mhm.
and they kept that first property as a rental property.
Right.
Now they've kind of dipped their toes in the water on if they want to be a landlord long term or not.
Mhm.
And there is something about getting hit on capital gains taxes that you do have to make that decision within 3 years of being a landlord.
Yeah.
So if you've been in the house for at least three of the last 5 years, they'll still consider it
Like
your
a
a
primary.
primary
Yeah.
or marital home, they call it a lot of times, and then you can sell it and at a long term capital gains
Right.
instead of it turning into an investment property and it
Yeah.
becoming a short term capital
Yeah.
gains and getting taxed at your income tax
Yep.
level. So we're running into that a lot right now, where people have been renting out the last 2 or 3
Yeah.
years and they're making this decision right now. Do I want to rent this long term? Because now this is going to flip over into an
Mhm.
investment property. I'm going to get
Mhm.
taxed much differently. Or do I want to sell this now and not have to be a landlord for the next 20, 30 years? Because if I'm going to get
Yeah,
hit
and
at that level, I'm going to hold on
people
to
are
this for a
still
while.
cashing out pretty well, so it's a good conversation to be had. And I feel like a lot of, your regular person just wouldn't even know that.
Correct.
They wouldn't. It's
Yeah.
just, these are all the things that you don't think about. And there's always like expenses, left, right, like it's just there's always something. So it's good to really think all of that through.
It
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the real estate
Well, it's
industry?
funny. I always like when people talk about like when you're younger, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, real estate obviously wasn't even an option in my mind for some reason, even though mom, did real estate for throughout our whole high school, you know, career.
Yeah.
She wasn't a realtor our whole life, but it just was never even an option for me. I don't know why. And then, going to college, going for business, taking business classes. I was helping mom on the side. And I was like, what I'm learning in my classes isn't as effective as what I'm learning here in real life, actually working firsthand. So I ended up, I stopped going to school, worked with mom full time. I always was a super creative person, loved doing the marketing, loved creating the ads. I always loved talking to people, meeting new people, working at Thatcher's, working at Starbucks. Like a lot of those skills translated over really well because it was such like a social, fun environment. Obviously it's way different in so many ways, clearly, but meeting people and, creating different things has been a lot of fun. And, helping people and helping them find like their dream homes is amazing. But I always joke because I feel like real estate has so many different facets that, you do so much of the sales, cold calling. I do so much of the marketing and, talking with listing clients and like getting their home to be a product. And mom has her own thing. Sharon, dad helps with the signs. We each have our like area of real estate and all our skills connect into like,
A
who we
well a
are as a
well
team.
a well-oiled machine here.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about real estate because I think everybody just thinks it's sales, sales, sales.
Hmm.
Like you got to be a good salesperson, which you do, but there's so many different things that go into that.
Hmm.
And I think it's cool that, each of our talents fit into our team and that this is what has become Sheeran Real Estate Group. So, when I think back on like what both of us, what made us get into this, I think, just seeing mom, what she's done with like starting from nothing, having one or two listings a year.
Hmm.
She sold, I don't even know how much she sold the first year, but like to now be selling over 100 homes. And, we've obviously helped her do that the last couple of years, but just seeing her create that and build that business on her own with just an admin and, maybe a buyer's agent here and there, like it was inspiring. So I'm like super proud to be a part of it now, but it's, sometimes I'm like, it's real estate, it doesn't feel like, what I am in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Talking about your previous jobs, which job do you think prepared you the best for your career in real estate?
Honestly, working at Thatcher's. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Yeah, it's, being a server, obviously, like customer service, like making sure people are happy. It's for an hour and a half dinner or like somebody sitting at the bar, like, bringing them drinks or that kind of thing. Like, it's obviously so much different than a 60-day closing or getting some, getting a house listed and then, working to get them offers. But customer service is huge. I
Yeah.
feel like that's, like if you don't have customer service skills, like you're just not going to do well in real estate. You
Yeah.
have to know how to talk to people. You have to know to like build that rapport with people, like build friendships. Like I feel like that is such a huge thing. And I mean, that, like
Oh,
that's
definitely.
even,
Yeah. Well,
connecting with
that's, I mean, that
clients.
is half the job, is just the customer service and the client
Yeah.
service and really listening to people, hearing what they
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
and following up on it. And I
Yep.
know what you mean, because even going back to I'm sure you find this a lot easier than having to take people's orders at Thatcher's, where they can be demanding sometime and the customer's always right and the client's always right, where now you're in a role that we're able to give our advice and experience from selling
Yeah.
so many houses and really guiding our clients the right way. And I feel the same way for my years at E-Trade. I'm blessed that I had that opportunity beforehand, because back when I first started there, I was nervous to pick up a phone call. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that that's definitely why my manager there made me make those happy
Oh
birthday
yeah.
phone calls,
Yep.
which I knew was pointless at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just a way to get over my nerves and be open to talking on the phone. And now, if you're in this office, everybody knows I can't shut up and I
Yeah, you're
talk
always
very
on the
loud.
phone.
And I probably still should do the thing that they made me do at E-Trade, where they wanted me to stick my head below the desk because I was so
Because you
loud.
were too loud. I know. You
But
need your own little cubicle here.
that's now I got my own space here. But
No, it's so true. And I think it's just like, it's the banter. Like, like that word is so funny to me because it's like, like the gift of gab, but it's like, you need to have the banter. Like, that's just what it is. Like, real
mhm,
estate is all about relationships. It's, marketing, obviously, putting, the reason we do podcasts, the reason we post on our social media and like do all these different things, like, that's obviously a huge thing. But like, if you can't be relatable, if you can't be likable, if you're not building these relationships with people, like nothing else matters. Doesn't matter what else you're doing in the office or, in real estate. Like it's all about the relationships.
it's very true, and it's not just the relationship with the client; it's with the other realtors out there, that,
Yes. The
especially the ones that
inspectors,
also
yeah.
do good business, that we know that
Yep.
we need to get this to closing, work
Mhm.
together on it, work with the
Yeah.
inspectors, the attorneys. So it's blessed to know a lot of people in the area.
It is, and I think that's what's cool. And that's why I say Thatcher's, like with that job, is because the local restaurant, like we're local, it's just you see the same people, and that's how it is with
Hmm.
us too. Like, there are a lot of realtors out there. You know, there is a good majority of, realtors that tend to list most of the properties in this area. Us, like there's a handful of others. You need to have those relationships with those people. They need to trust that you're going to guide your client to get to closing. You're going to guide them through the many home inspection issues, because every single house has something. We live in New Jersey. The homes are old. We don't have, we're not a new construction market.
Yeah.
So, that there's a lot of trust involved there. So it's interesting,
It is.
but it's fun, and like you said, like, real estate's easier than probably like serving a table. But I always joke, I'm like, when you work at a restaurant, you deal with an unhappy customer for an hour, hour and a half, and they go home.
Yeah.
It's like real estate, like it's start to finish, it's a couple months.
It is.
It's a couple months. So like we're in it for the long haul. But yeah, it's cool. And I just think it's cool that we were able to work in the place where we grew up, and, where our parents raised us, and, where we went to school, and like we have so many friends and so many connections that that makes it special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we do so well in Denville, because I do feel like everybody that lives in town that decides to list with us, or if they want to buy a house looking in Denville with us, it's because they can truly feel that we love this town. And I do. I know that you think this personally too, but I think we can both say that we absolutely love Denville. It was the best place to have our childhood at, just running down to the beach in Indian Lake after school, walking into town, riding bikes into town.
Yeah.
And
we wouldn't have stood at the Denville Street Festival for 10 hours on a Sunday if we didn't love this town.
Exactly.
It's so true. I mean, and even now, like I always say this, but like now raising my own kids in Denville is special. It's just so cool. And like helping families, not only speaking from personal experience, saying like, yeah, I went to Morris Knolls, I went to Valley View, Lakeview, like we had a blast. It was a great place to grow up, going to Gardner Field, playing sports, just running around with our friends. It's so cool. It's just so cool.
It
And
is.
like, my kids are young, but like knowing that they're going to have like a similar experience is special, and helping our clients have the same for their family.
Yeah, and it feels like one of those towns that just truly has a community feel to it. People have each other's backs, willing to help each other out, and they love the town. I mean, you saw how, again, going back to the festival last Sunday, it was packed down there, so you could tell how many people were excited to go and spend their day in Denville.
Yeah, no, it was packed. And like the many events coming up, there's a book swap this weekend. There's like a country jamboree coming up in a couple weeks, some music in the park. So there's a ton of stuff to do.
Yep. Pancakes at Gardner Field on Father's Day.
Yes, be there,
we'll
guys.
Be down there.
Mike Sheeran will be flipping some pancakes.
So what's we're going through frequently asked questions today.
Yeah,
Let's see what next up is on the list.
Oh, what was your first big deal that you remember, and what did you learn from it? What is the most memorable deal from your early days in real estate?
Oh my gosh. So probably my most memorable one. Well, let me just go with
positive?
the one.
Was it
you
positive?
You said the first deal. The first deal was extremely positive.
You remember your first deal?
And this is actually a very funny situation. So the first deal I ever had was a house up in Sparta that I was representing the buyers at. And they had one child at the time, and we had to rush up there because their babysitting help, they were late to get to the showing, and we had to rush up there to see this house. The babysitting help wasn't there, was going to be leaving soon. So we probably sprinted through this house within 10 minutes, and this is a house that's over 3,000 square feet, and called the realtor afterwards. The clients loved it. Even though we didn't get enough time there, I was like, we'd love to come back. We had to rush, and she's like, you guys have to make an offer today. We just accepted
like
something.
Down to the wire.
And that's how real estate goes sometimes. And
did they get it?
People in this market, yeah. So we made it an offer that day, and we went back there for the home inspection with our top home inspector, Ken Hartman, and Ken's like, oh my gosh, that room above the garage is like unbelievable. And we were like, what are you talking about?
You didn't even see it?
We didn't even see the loft above the garage. So it was like a added bonus. The clients fell even more in love with the house, knowing that was there now. So it was just an added bonus. So when you said first deal...
Is this Kelly and Brett?
No, that is Justin and Melanie.
Oh,
So
yeah. I just remember Kelly and Brett's amazing Sparta house. I was wondering if that was it.
yeah,
Yeah, and that was your
their house,
first,
Kelly and Brett's, is gorgeous
and
too.
that was your first deal?
Yeah,
That's so funny that I'm like impressed that you even remember. I have
I
absolutely
do.
no idea
I do remember that. I mean, how can you not remember that you sold a house to somebody and you didn't even
that
see
you were there that
one
you missed a
section of the
room.
house? Because we take a lot of pride in seeing everything, but
Yeah,
they
being
were in a
really
rush to get out
thorough.
that day.
And what do you think is your most memorable deal?
Hmm.
And is it positive or negative? So I feel
Oh,
like when I think of
I
like
mean,
most
I
memorable,
could write
I
a
think
book
negative.
of some of the crazy stories. I mean, I don't know if so. I mean, so one of my college buddies bought a house out in Hackettstown, and another one that we went through very quickly. And the house had forced hot air. And during the inspection, the inspector was like, "Why is there so many heating registers in this house?" So I don't understand why there's registers everywhere. So as he keeps going through, he's like, you know what? I got to take one of these out and check this thing out. So takes one off, sticks his hand in it. It goes absolutely nowhere, not connected to anything. Goes to the next one, sticks his hand in, goes absolutely nowhere. And he's just like, this makes absolutely no sense. The ductwork doesn't go anywhere. I don't get what's going on here. So one of the neighbors starts walking down the street and pulls us aside. And he's like, "Did you guys know that this house was raided by the DEA like 2 months ago?
Oh
Like
my
this was
gosh.
they were storing drugs and cash here."
Oh my god.
And I told my
I do
buddy from
remember
Rutgers,
this.
I was like, are you sure you want to buy this? Because if they miss something, are you sure that you're gonna want to be in this house that who knows who owned this beforehand?
Yeah.
He's like, "John, if I ever run into money problems, we'll take a sledgehammer to the walls and see if there's anything
Yeah, see
extra."
if
So
anything's there.
he's still there. He's got two
Oh
kids
my
there now, loving
gosh.
it.
That's
So
so funny.
that's definitely one memorable one.
That is memorable.
Some of the most memorable ones I think too are people that accidentally run into like almost like flips. Where we had one in Boonton where I helped them buy the house for a little over $1 million, and then they had to move back out to. They were coming from Glen Ridge. They had to move back to Glen Ridge,
Hmm.
and they asked us what they could do to make the house more presentable because they had to sell it so
Yeah.
quickly. Um,
So
and
this house, I mean, they purchased this home for what? Like
probably,
1.1?
I think it was $1,070,000 if I remember correctly,
Yeah, a little
70,000,
over a million.
little over a million.
This
And
house was beautiful.
it was
Like it was
beautiful.
a huge center hall colonial, like stunning. But
Yeah, six 6,000 square feet.
the outside was painted pink.
Yes,
It was
it was
pink.
flamingo pink. Looked like it should have been a house that was in Florida. And it was
Yeah, it
sitting in
was
the
like Key
woods
West.
in
Yeah.
Boonton Township. So after some consulting on what they could do to spruce the house up and
Mm-hmm.
make it a sale quickly, which was unexpected for them to do, my mom and I suggested that they paint the outside of the house, which
Mm-hmm.
was expensive. We wouldn't suggest this to everybody to do it, but when the house is flamingo pink, maybe it is the right thing to
Yeah.
do. So I believe that they spent a little over $40,000-$50,000
Mm-hmm.
for the outside painting, made it a beautiful, nice grayish white color, and we resold the house 6 to 9 months later at 1.4. So
Yeah.
they unexpectedly
I mean, they made
made
over 300,000 in
on a
profit.
profit
Yeah.
on that.
Just in some paint. Like that's what we always say. Like people always want a lot of staging advice from us, which is granted. You know, some homes need to be staged and furniture needs to be brought in, things put on the wall, but paint makes such a huge
Makes
difference.
such a big difference.
It's insane.
It does.
Like people take, and it's like, but you got to have the right colors too.
Yeah.
You do. Like colors are important, and it's, you know, we're kind of like phasing out of that the millennial gray. You know, like I keep saying it, like it's being called millennial gray now because it was such a huge thing, but we're phasing out. But that was like such a testimony to just what paint can do. That
And
was
just
insane.
what's just some staging can do to really help
Yeah.
just increase the value on a house. So recently, I mean, anything extremely memorable?
Our most recent, which actually just sold today. I mean, what, like 17 offers?
We had 17 offers. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great story about how pricing a house is just so important. So we had a listing in Denville. It was 18 Arlington that just closed today,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a seller that really bought into the pricing strategy.
Yes. Which
And
we love. We love
we
when
love when
we love
sellers.
when sellers trust our strategies,
Yes.
guys. We love it.
And it was just we had a recent similar house that was on the market, so we really knew exactly where to price this one.
Mm-hmm.
And we essentially told them like, hey, at 725, you want to create buzz here. And
That's
this
it.
was back in probably March we had this listed,
Yeah.
maybe April.
Early March. It was like March.
Early March.
Yeah.
And he bought in and we listed at 725 knowing that it was going to create a lot of buzz.
4-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
2.5 baths.
4-bedroom, 2.5 bath
basement.
colonial, but it needed to be updated.
In some areas, it still had a newish kitchen there as well.
Newish,
But it's
but
still
wood cabinets, which are, you know,
not your white, which a lot of buyers, not your white cabinets, which a lot of buyers expect right now. But it was just finding a house that's 2,200 square feet, 4-bed, 2.5 baths. At the time there was none of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he listed it at 725.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him it was going to go at least high sevens.
Yeah.
I was like, on a good day, this may go to 8. But you have a much better chance of getting 8 listing it at 725 versus listing at 8. You want to create this buzz. And the open houses that weekend were crazy.
Insane.
I had to call somebody over to help me with the traffic.
Yeah.
It was
But
that
you
busy.
had like, it was like,
It was probably at least 50 groups a day, if I remember.
which is a lot, you know,
was a lot.
because we're kind of like out of the COVID days now where like the lines were, you know, going down the street.
Yeah.
So 50 is a lot.
Yep.
50 is a lot.
And then by that Tuesday or Wednesday, when we made the actual deadline, we ended up with 17 offers.
17 offers.
And it went 125.
And half of those were over 800,000.
Yes.
Like, you know.
A lot of them were. So, I mean, even 3 were right in the ballpark of this 850. And then the terms actually got it done. If he had not listed at 725, and those buyers I met at the open house saw how much buzz was going on there, they got emotional, they saw how crazy it was. They came in 125,000 over, waived inspections, waived appraisal. It was everything that a seller could ask for.
Yep.
Because limiting inspections is great, but having no inspections whatsoever, then you have nothing to worry about.
Because like I said, we live in New Jersey. There's always going to be something, even if it's not like a major catastrophic issue that's going to like completely just botch the deal. Every single house has something, you know?
Does.
So if a seller doesn't have to worry about it and we can coast through the transaction, like that's ideal. Obviously, but you know, it really does come down to the pricing strategy and like you said, creating the buzz and, you know, like creating that frenzy where the buyers know that they have to compete.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand that strategy because, you know, they want a certain amount, which is granted, you know, we're never going to have you sell your home for below market value, but you do need to create that buzz.
Yeah. Look, every market's different too. And every house is different because there's some houses that are extremely unique. And this was, again, going back to 18 Arlington, it was a 4-bed, 2.5 bath colonial.
Yeah.
Standard layout. Every young family loves it. Every young couple likes it. They can see it's your very traditional house. If we get an A-frame or just a house that's extremely unique for some reason,
contemporary, bi-level,
I would never suggest that same strategy because I knew at 18 Arlington, if 10 people walk through that house, most likely over 50% of them are going to fall in love with it, make an offer. If you have an extremely unique house and maybe only something's quirky about it, but if it is nice, then you may want to list it fairly and not expect it to go way over because maybe only 1 out of 10 people fall in love with it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And to kind of like go to those unique layouts, those unique homes, because we do obviously have many of those listings as well. You know, it's like trusting the process, I feel like, you know, because that home, like John said, you know, it's your classic colonial. We had a ton of showings because that fit a lot of people's checklists. You know, traditional family, you know, 4 bedrooms, you have a couple kids, it's just perfect. But, you know, these other homes that aren't like that, we don't get as many showings because it doesn't fit as many buyers, but trusting the process, you know, the strategy, we always have a strategy, whether it's like marketing to certain areas, certain people that it may fit their needs a little better. I think that's such like a huge part of it too, in being successful.
It is. It is. Can you jog your memory on what your most memorable sale is?
For some
or
reason, I
not
mean,
sale
this is so bad because I'm typically such a positive person, but like I'm just jumping to like so many,
of the bad transactions.
yeah, which
Well, I
I
mean,
can't mention.
I do remember the first one before my Sparta story that I got accepted. I was so happy I got an offer accepted on a house in Rockaway, and it was a vacant house. And it was the dead of winter. And I was like, all right, we're finally going to get one. I just got to get through this inspection. We show up to the inspection, again, dead of winter. It was one of those really cold days. And I open up the door, and there's just water pouring from everywhere, just waterfalls. And I just like,
You're like,
just remember my mouth dropped, and the inspector walked in. He's like, inspection failed.
oh my God.
And he's just like, I'm not going to charge you guys.
Yeah.
So, of course, that deal fell apart. The seller,
Well, you had
the seller
one.
was renting it out, and I guess the tenants left, and the heat turned off, and the landlord forgot to turn the utilities back on,
Oh my
and the
gosh.
house just froze.
It froze.
So,
That's terrible.
yeah.
Well, and you feel bad for those people
You
because
do.
the real, we remind our clients in the winter if it's vacant, make sure you have it winterized, or make sure your heat is set to a certain degree so your pipes don't freeze because it gets cold.
It's very, yeah,
and it
it's
can
very
absolutely
important.
destroy a house.
Yeah,
Destroy.
about $50 a month, $100 a month for heat is much cheaper than
Or
redoing an entire house after
keeping your
freeze.
electric on so your sump pump is still going, so your
Yep.
basement, there's very like minor things, but it's just reminding ourselves that we're experts in homes. Not everybody is. So, we just add that to our reminders, letting our clients know to do all those things. But,
Yeah.
it's, we have met so many different people, and luckily 99%, are best friends, but, we're not going to get along with everybody. So,
Oh, you work with the entire public, and it is a very emotional time. And sometimes people are going through rougher times. So it's one of these jobs where it's a 50% of the time we're being a realtor. Sometimes the other 50% is being a therapist or just a friend that they can talk to.
Yep.
So.
And then other times it's like somebody's got to call the psych ward because.
Yeah. Sometimes for me, I think.
Whether it's us or somebody else, but. Yeah, no, there's been some good ones and some crazy ones, but
there has been.
We'll have our home inspector on here at one point, Ken Hartman, because there's just been some crazy stories with just home inspections alone.
Yeah.
John had one not that long ago where the sewer backed up out of the sinks during the home inspection.
So it's a beautiful house that'll be closing in about a week or two in Randolph, and it's going to be selling for about 1.3, and the sellers had just put in $175,000 kitchen, and I guess the sellers didn't know that there was a little clog in their main waste line going out to the septic field, and the inspection had gone perfect the entire time.
Yeah,
the inspector's running
is perfect.
Inspector's running water all day long in there. He's like, the pipes are good, but he's just like, I always do have to check the jetted tub,
right?
Because a waste line, just running a normal sink is not the same as filling up a full tub
you need like
and letting that entire tub go down at once. So, of course, he unplugs the jetted tub, and the next thing I know, the listing agent was there to come and turn off the lights and lock up, so thank God she was in the basement that time. She starts screaming Bloody Mary down there, and I thought like something was wrong. I thought something had happened. So I sprint down there, and all this water's flowing through, and I guess the path of least resistance was there was a clog in the drain line right before the septic field, but the path of least resistance was coming out of the kitchen sink.
Right.
And it got all over their kitchen, a new $175,000 kitchen there. So I'm grabbing every single towel I can find in this random person's house that I don't know because I'm only representing the buyers on this, trying to clean this up so that, try to save the deal, save this house. I don't want this beautiful kitchen to go to waste. Finally, we get everything dried up, good to go. And the inspector comes over and he just whispers in my ear. He's like, that's all was in the sewer line a second ago. I'm like drenched in sewage water. I was like, just get me in the shower immediately. Like, this is disgusting.
That was nuts.
It's part of the job.
It is part of it. Or like
fast forward, everything was remediated. Thank goodness we were there. We cleaned everything up. They got professionals in there, aired everything out, and now it's We're ready to close in a week or two.
Back to being a perfect house.
Back to being a perfect kitchen.
Yeah,
So
that was crazy.
Another one just a week ago was he was like, hey, come check out this basement right here. Of course, I wish he would have told me what I was walking into. He's like, just turn left. And not even 2 feet away from me is the biggest possum I could ever see in my life, just staring me directly in the face.
There's been so many animals recently.
Oh, it's that time of year. At least I haven't run into a bear yet. I've heard of some inspectors crawling underneath decks or something.
And a bear hibernating?
And a bear hibernating underneath a deck. So I haven't run into that yet.
No, I remember there was one years ago. It was like a foreclosure. This house smelled so bad, like so bad. The people must have been hunters or something. They left deer venison in the fridge that there was no longer electric. So like there was literally like a chopped up deer in the fridge, literally rotting. And I like that smell is forever just ingrained in my brain.
Oh, yep.
But you walk into houses, like I think about this all the time, and this is like so crazy because I have just watched way too many Criminal Minds or Law and Order or something. And, you go to these realtor safety seminars and, they're like, you walk into homes by yourself. And, when you think about it too much, it actually is crazy.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
It is. And I mean, it's why you always have to be careful too. Like I used to work with investors before my business really started going within our business in the Morris County area. And my mom at the time wasn't giving that many free handouts to us on leads. So I had to go and pick up leads. I used to drive anywhere. So I was bringing investors to Newark.
Yeah.
And we had closed a couple deals in Newark, but then these investors started wanting to go to West Newark, which is some people had said is not the best area. But I remember my last showing there was all the houses are boarded up or almost like burnt down. That's the kind of houses that they wanted to
it's like
get into.
Yeah,
That's,
it's
and
the
rehab
best
them.
investments, yeah.
And the guy sitting on the stoop across the street, it was early in the morning, maybe a 9 a.m. showing, and I'm going up there doing the lockbox. The guy across the street sitting on the stoop, he's just like, don't go in there. He's just like, I'm just giving you a head, like, just don't go in there.
Yeah.
And I looked at my investors and they were like, John, we want to get in there. I was like, I'm done.
You're like, I'm not. You can go in, but I'm not taking you.
This is when my business finally started picking up a little bit more in Morris County. I didn't have to do that. I was like, I'm done.
Well, if some random guy sitting on the stoop is telling you not to go in, you should probably not go in.
I'm not gonna.
He knows a little more than.
I'm not gonna be the one to do that. But even more local to here. I remember, my dad is the best for just always being there available, and a lot of our clients know him just as. If John or Genevieve is not available, Mike's going in a pinch, always with his Irish cap on. And a couple years back, he went on a showing in a pinch. And I know that the showing was confirmed, but you just never know what you're going to walk into. He said that there was a guy passed out drunk in his whitey tighties in the living room on a rocking chair. And he just told us, the buyers, like, we're getting out, because you don't know how that guy's going to wake up.
And Ken has told us some stories. He's the home inspector, and he used to be a police officer. I always forget. I think Clifton, but I always forget.
No, he was down in Far Hills area.
Oh, yeah. How do I always think Clifton for some reason. Maybe it was Clinton, but he has had some crazy stories too, where like people have come out. Either it's like a tenant who, they don't really have any say, but like they don't want the people in the home, or if it's, that kind of scenario, like somebody's drunk or whatever, and they forget the person's coming, then, people have guns, people have weapons. It's like, it is a little scary.
Oh, definitely.
And there was a story where he said like somebody came like running at him with the gun and,
Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah.
But he knows how to handle those situations, thank God. And I would not.
I would not either. That's where I draw the line. Yeah. That's where I'll say I will bow out of selling that house.
You're running down the street.
Also, would you want to buy a house from somebody that is like that? So
yeah, I know. It's a little scary. But
yeah. All right, here's another good frequently asked question. What's your biggest pet peeve in the real estate industry, and how do you avoid it?
Like with other realtors or just in general?
Answer it however you want.
I hate to say it, but I mean, there's a lot of realtors that drive me insane.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we're inherently salespeople. People consider us used car salesmen. At least I pride myself to not be that way. But yes, I mean, there are a lot of annoying real estate agents out there, and we do have to be friendly with them because it helps close
Yeah.
deals. I like a lot of them too. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we always
Some of them are
joke.
some of my really good
They
friends.
are. No, definitely.
Um,
And we always joke because we always say, like, it's so easy to get a real estate
I
license.
think especially right now, there's no barrier of entry into this industry.
No.
So we are seeing, like, I remember when me, you, and our cousin Joe all went to get our licenses together, and that was, again, we were talking about it earlier, 9 years ago in
Yeah.
2016. We had to go and sit in a class
For
every single day
hours.
from 8:30 a.m. until
It's
like
like 4:30. It was
4:30
insane.
or something for only 2 weeks, which again, that even seems crazy for helping people sell and buy their houses, but 2 weeks back then, but at least they made us go and sit in the class.
Yeah, they did.
And then we had to pass the actual class exam and then the state exam to then join Keller Williams or any brokerage that is out there. But
Right.
now you can do all the classes on video online. And I've
Mhm.
actually heard that you don't even need to be in front of a proctor, that you could just log the hours. So you can go
Right.
and walk away from your computer, not even listen to what they're
Yeah, then you
saying,
just study your ass off.
and you satisfy those
Yeah.
hours to
Yeah.
then be able to go and take the test. So some of the things that we're seeing out here, and again, we have to work with them because a lot of times it's in the best interest of our clients. So
Right.
we're getting these offers from these first time agents that
Mhm.
call us. They don't even know how to make an offer, but what they're telling us verbally on the phone, we know in the back of our mind is going to be the
We're like,
best
check.
offer on
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
listing.
Yeah.
So it's really working through with them. So I
It
agree
is.
that
And
that's a,
I mean, I have written up contracts for other realtors that just didn't know. Just for our, to benefit our listing.
yeah.
Because there are, and then there's some, there's so many brokerages out there right now, like, that don't have a lot of support from their brokers, where, like, most agents, if they're new or they don't know how to do something, you go to your broker in your office and you can ask them, who can I talk to? Who can help me, send comms to my client, write up an offer? What documents do I need my clients to sign? There's so many details. Like, we give people the benefit of the doubt because you go through this 2-week course, 75-hour course, you learn, like, what is eminent domain.
You don't learn, again, you don't learn how to sell. I mean, you learn a lot of the laws out there, which is important
Exactly.
to learn, but it
Yeah.
definitely doesn't show you how to
It doesn't show
help a
you.
client, how to
Yeah.
sell a house, how to
Yeah.
buy a house. You're just learning the laws. But
Yep.
my point is that it's not sifting out some of these people that
No.
they wouldn't want to go and sit in on a 2 week thing, or maybe they have another job and
Yeah.
they're letting this course run at night
Yep.
or taking
Yep.
this course
Or
at
it's
night.
like people who think they're gonna, like, get rich fast
Yeah,
and, aren't.
which is not the case. I mean,
No.
I joke all the time, like, going back to talking about where we first started, leaving finance, where I felt like I had a pretty good job at the time,
Mhm.
for a 23, 24-year-old. I came back my first year in real estate, I made $8,000. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. I was
No
like,
health insurance other than
what
mom
did
and
I
dad's.
do?
Yeah.
I just threw all of that away,
I
and now
know.
I'm like
Back at mom and
back at
dad's.
mom and dad's. I got no money,
Yeah, I know. It's
picking
kind of
up
crazy.
natural ices on the
Yeah.
weekends because it was back when I still had partied, and it was
Natty
just
ice.
just because it was the cheapest things out there. I mean, it was crazy. I guess my biggest pet peeve right now is, if anybody follows me on the social media accounts, don't, because I don't post anything. So I'm not that kind of person. So thank goodness we have Genevieve for running all the socials. But I can't stand how the new age only text, nobody calls.
Yeah.
So we could get 10 offers on one of our listings, and I may get phone calls from 2 or 3 of the
Well,
agents.
and it's not even just about texting because, at least, like, somebody's communicating, but there's some realtors that don't.
They don't even let us
And
know
they
that
don't
they
even
sent an
know.
offer.
Yeah. And then they'll call like 2 days later and they'll be like, did you get our offer? And we're like, no, we didn't.
Yeah, you sent it to the wrong
You sent it to the
email.
wrong email. You didn't call us. You didn't text us. So we
Yeah.
had no idea you even sent an offer.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I mean, it's a pet peeve simply because I'm like, how do you even have a client? Because you're clearly
Oh,
not.
I feel terrible for
Yeah,
some
you're
of the
clearly not doing your job.
Yeah.
So that's more really the pet peeve. I mean, and then also, I mean, there's so many realtors that are just so unethical. There
Yes.
just is. And,
Yeah.
those people, I don't think will make it long term. You know, being sneaky or, you know, trying to like
Trying to
double,
get a pocket listing, double end
yeah,
it, which will put more
which
money in their pocket, but may not make the most sense for
no,
their
yeah, exactly.
clients. So
And you know, there's many scenarios with that. Like, you know, some sellers don't want to show their home, but at the end of the day, a seller is always going to make the most money going to market and
hmm
exposing it to everyone. You know,
hmm
it's just the way it is. That's the truth. But another pet peeve of mine, you know, and this is coming back to being, you know, my job, like working with the listings, realtors not responding and giving feedback is so annoying to me. And I know like I've seen a lot of things more recently where like I I don't know if there's like a liability with it. Like I've read some things recently where like they don't want to speak for their clients, or they don't want to, and then their clients come back later and want to make an offer after they've, you know, potentially said that their client wasn't interested for this reason or whatever.
yeah,
You know, but it is so frustrating to me because we really try to give our clients like really good feedback. Like, you've had this many showings, this is what everybody thinks of your home. And it drives me nuts when you know, when we call realtors, text realtors, email them, and nobody's
uh,
getting back to us. Thanks for watching, guys. We're excited to do more of this. And, you know, if you want to hear about something, message us, talk to us. You know,
yeah.
most of our viewers are going to be people that we know
Bring
and
us,
love. So.
yeah, bring us some frequently asked questions, or
Yeah,
if you
or
guys want us
topics,
to talk about
yeah.
anything, we're excited for the next one. I feel like we have a better flow going on this right now. So
Yeah.
until next time, guys.